This is the first lecture of our first unit of the AS level business studies, which is business and its environment. Right? So let's start with the first concept of the purpose of business activity. The purpose of any business activity today is that they need to identify the needs of the people in the market, and then they have to try to fulfill those needs, right? Needs and wants, right? So this is what every business tries to do, right? And in order to do that, they gather resources, they buy resources, right? They manufacture, and then they sell it at a higher price, right? So that is the whole purpose of the business activity. Now let's move on to another concept of added value. Added value is a very important concept, right? It is basically selling price minus the material cost, right, of a product, right? Let's say this is a marker, this is the dollar marker. In the market, this marker is sold for 50 rupees, right? So the selling price is 50 rupees. Now the material cost of making this marker, the plastic body, the sponge inside it, the ink, let's say it is for selling price is 20 and all the material cost is 5, right? So we say that the added value is 15 rupees, right? So basically the dollar company, what it is trying to do is that by selling each marker, by manufacturing each marker and selling it, they are creating a value of 15 rupees, right? This does not mean that they are making a profit of 15 rupees, right? Because right now we have only calculated the material cost, right? There are some additional costs that needs to be deducted from over here. The rent, the electricity bill of the factory, the salaries that needs to be paid to the people, right? These are all the other costs that needs to be deducted from the added value, and then you will get your profit, right? So that's why every business today, they try to increase the added value, right? Because there are other costs also that needs to be paid from here, right? So, and obviously there's a profit also in it. So the whole, every business tries to create the added value. Now, businesses have different ways of doing it. The very common ways businesses today try to create the added value is maybe, they provide very good after sales service, right? Some companies, they have a very good marketing campaign going on, and because of that, they are able to charge a higher price, right? That is the, you can say the difference between a branded product and an unbranded product. If you look at the branded products, you might see many promotions, many advertisements of it, right? And that is why these companies are able to charge a higher price, right? Because they've made the campaign, they're doing marketing in such a way that people are attracted to it. People feel that, this is a very good quality product. But unbranded products might be using the same material, right? But they're not doing this marketing and all. So that's why they are not able to charge a higher price, because people don't know about those companies because it's an unbranded product, right? So that is why now added value, you can see so many examples. I usually give the example of coffee, right? There is a roadside cafe and then roadside hotel or dhaba, which we say, and a luxurious cafe, like let's say espresso, right? If you have coffee in both these places, at the roadside dhaba, you might get the coffee for 50 rupees, right? And if you go to espresso to have a coffee, you might get it for 250 or 300 rupees. So why such a difference? Yes, there might be difference between the materials that espresso is using. They might be using a higher quality material, right? But even then also, even if they're using very high quality, the difference is almost the 5 times, right? So what is it that espresso is doing that they are able to charge such a higher price, whereas the roadside cafe is not doing it, right? The reason is that espresso is providing an environment, right? They have a very luxurious sitting area, right? People come over there, they drink their coffees. There's a person serving them in a very courteous way, right? All these things, by doing this, espresso is charging a higher price. And based on that, they increase their added value, right? So this is what every business tries to do, to increase the added value. Now let's move on to the concept of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost, I'm sure you all must be knowing by now, is the cost of the next best alternative sacrificed, right? For example, you have enough money to either go to a holiday in another country or maybe, buy a car, right? Now, if you chose to go to a holiday with your family, right, then what did you sacrifice? The car, because now all that money has been spent on the holiday. Now you can't buy the car, so you sacrifice the option of car. So the opportunity cost of going to the holiday is the car that you sacrificed, right? Your next best option or your next best alternative was to buy the car, right? So you sacrifice that. So that is the opportunity cost. This concept is a very basic concept, and it is faced by every individual, every household, every business, and every governments of the world today. Because opportunity cost comes into play when you have limited resources, right? Limited resources to either do this or either do that. You can't do everything, right? Your father, your family income, it's a limited income, right? So you can't do everything from that. So everyone faces this situation. Businesses also face this situation where they have to decide between, let's say, 2 or 3 options. They have to select the best one, right? So when they select the best one, the other 2 options that they sacrificed was the opportunity cost. Even if you want to see it at the individual level, you for example, let's say you have a job, right? And from your job you are earning 40,000 rupees. Now you decided to start your own business. Now when you decided to do the calculations before starting your business, you saw that okay, after deducting all my expenses, the profit I would be making is 20,000 rupees, right? You became happy. Okay, I'm starting a business, I made 20,000 rupees profit. That's good. Yes, but see, what did you sacrifice for starting your business? You sacrificed your job. And how much were you earning from that job? 40,000 rupees. So basically, if you look, 20,000 profit you were making and 40,000 was the salary that you sacrificed. So at the end, basically you're only left with negative 20,000. So actually, for doing the business, you made negative 20,000 rupees loss, right? So this is what opportunity cost is. Now let's discuss the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, is a person who takes the risk of starting up a business, right? He invests his time, and at times he also invests his money as well, right? So now, if you talk about successful entrepreneurs, what are the names that come to your mind? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, right? These are some of the names that come into your mind, and there are many successful entrepreneurs over here, right? So what is it that made these entrepreneurs so successful, right? From the millions of entrepreneurs, because there's so many businesses today around the world, there were, let's say, millions of entrepreneurs. But there are only a handful of people that have been successful. Why? Here we discuss some of the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. What are those things that make the entrepreneur very successful? First, innovative. When we say innovative, we don't mean that that the entrepreneur should be able to produce new products, right? It's not necessary that he needs to know the technical ways of developing new product. No, by being innovative means to have new ideas, right? Successful entrepreneur, he identifies that where is the gap in the market, what is it that people needed but it is not available there in the market, right? So he needs to come up with these new things, right? Because today there's so much competition that you see today, and if you take up any product, there's so many brands competing for that product. But the entrepreneur needs to be someone who can come up with a new idea of selling the product, of making the product, right? He can have engineers who are going to make products for him. He doesn't necessarily have to be that engineer to make the product. He does not need to know the technical details, right? So a successful entrepreneur needs to be innovative. Second characteristic of a successful entrepreneur is that he needs to be committed, right? Committed because when you're doing a job, it's a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 job, right? You come to your office 9 o'clock, you leave at 6, and that's it. But when you're doing a job, but when you're starting a business, you're not doing a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 job. You might be working 12 hours, 14 hours, right? So you need to be committed. You need to have that much commitment to your business that you are ready to work. You won't take holidays, you won't take Sundays off, you won't take any other holidays off, right? You'll be working. So that's the kind of commitment that is required if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. The third characteristic is the entrepreneur needs to be multi-skilled. By multi-skill means because it's a new business, so he can't afford to have accountant, a person who's going to do his marketing, another person to look after the purchasing, right? It's very much it's very much required that the entrepreneur should be doing all these things, because at the very beginning of his business, he cannot afford to have different people for doing different jobs. He might have to do it alone all by himself, right? So he needs to be multi-skilled over here. Another characteristic of a successful entrepreneur is that he needs to have leadership skills. Leadership skills means, it's very self-explanatory, that he is supposed to lead his employees. He has the vision, right? Now, he needs to take his employees towards that vision, right? So he needs to have the leadership capabilities. He needs to be there for his employees. If the employees are stuck anywhere, he is supposed to be there to help them, to guide them, right? Self-confidence, very important. The entrepreneur needs to be self-confident on himself, right? There might be many instances where he's going to face backlash. He might get bogged down, right? But he needs to have that confidence in him. If he will not have confidence in his product or in his service that he's selling, how is he going to convince other people to buy his product or service, right? So he needs to be self-confident. And the other feature, another characteristic is that he needs to be a risk taker, right? I think we discussed this in the beginning, that the entrepreneur takes risk, right? So he needs to have that appetite to take risk. It's not always necessary that there are so many people today that have a lot of money, but they are afraid to start up a business because they are scared that, what if our business fails, right? So that risk-taking ability, it should be there. And higher the risk, higher the return, right? So these are some of the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Now, let's discuss what are the things, or what are the reasons why new businesses fail. Because, see, the speed with which new businesses start up, with the same speed, the businesses fail as well, right? And there are some reasons that we have summarized over here, right? One of them is the lack of record keeping. What is this? Lack of record keeping is basically that, when you're selling your product, right? Let's say you're selling your product to 10 people, right? Now you need to keep a record that, okay, I sold to Mr. A this much product, Mr. B this much product, Mr. C this much product, etc., right? If you don't have the record, what will happen that after a month, you might not remember that, to whom did I sell my products to, and how much am I supposed to receive money from them. So then what will happen? You are going to face loss. You might not get the money, right? So this is one of the reasons why many businesses fail, that, they don't keep record. They're very enthusiastic and, they are very excited to do the business. But the basic mistake that they do is that, they forget, they think that, they'll be able to remember everything, right? But what happens is that once your business starts to, grow, then you forget about, whom you sold your products to. And then you don't have the records and you don't get the money. So if you want to overcome this problem, the businesses today, what they can do is, and it is now, this is a very, this thing is now not, this reason is now not so strong, because with the advancement in technology today, we have so many softwares and they are available so cheaply. Some softwares are even available free online, that you download that software, you do the entry, and you have the record in front of you in your computer, right? So this is one of the ways how you can overcome your record keeping problem. The second reason why new businesses fail is that they have a lack of cash and working capital, and this is a very common mistake that many businesses face, and even still now also. Because what happens, you already know that working capital is the capital or the money that is required to run your business. What happens is that when an entrepreneur starts a new business and he does all of his calculations, he sees that, okay, he looks at the permanent capital that would be required. Permanent capital is the money that will be stuck in the business, for example, maybe to buy the machinery, buy motor vehicles, right? This is the calculation that people normally do when they want to start a business. How much money would I require to set my business, to start my business, right? But what they forget to do is, what they forget to calculate is, how much money would I require to run my business? Because you are not going to start getting money from the next day only. It might take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, right? From the time that you are going to start earning money. So businesses needs to be prepared for this. That okay, if I'm not getting enough money for 3 months, then for 3 months you need to pay your electricity bills, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay salaries to your employees, right? This is the money that will be required to run your business. You will have to pay money for your suppliers as well. If you don't do that, if you don't plan for these expenses or the money that is required to run your business, then what will happen is that if you don't pay salaries to your employees for 1 month, fine, they might bear it for that 1 month. But again, for the second month, if they don't get the salary, then they will leave, right? And they can even file a case against you. So this all will lead to the closure of your business. All right. So it is very important that businesses, whenever an entrepreneur decides to start up a business, he does calculation for his working capital, right? What they can do is, they can make a cash flow forecast. What is a cash flow forecast? Where they plan, okay, in January I'll require this much, in Feb I'll require this much, in March I'll require this much money, right? When they have made this planning for the future, then they can easily arrange this money, right? That's one way of dealing with this problem. Another way is that you already talk to your bank and you already arrange a loan for it, right? So whenever the money is required, you call up your bank and you tell them, okay, now this much loan I will require, right? So the shortage of working capital is finished. Another way is that you stop selling your products on credit. On credit means that udhar, right? You stop selling a product on credit. But what happens is that, especially for new businesses, they are not able to sell their products on cash, right? Because it's a new business, so they will have to give some credit to the customers, right? So, but still, that is one way of dealing with. The third problem why businesses fail is poor management skills. Now, an entrepreneur might have a very good idea, right, about the business, and the idea is very successful, the product is very successful, but the problem is that the entrepreneur does not have the management skills. What kind of management? Financial management, the management to deal with employees, right? They might have to manage how the production will take place, right? So these are the management skills that are required. Now, what happens is that obviously the entrepreneurs, they are not skilled enough. They might not have experience in this management position. So this can lead to problems within a business, and the business can face chaos, right, if it's not managed properly. To overcome this, what can the manager do, or the entrepreneur can do? He can get short courses, short training courses, to get equipped with management skills, right? And the last reason why businesses fail is that there is a change in the business environment. Now see, the businesses, they don't work in a way, or you can say in a vacuum, right? The businesses, they are affected by the environment around it. Every business today around the world are affected by the environment around it. The very recent example you can see is the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Today all businesses around the world are affected by it. Something which was not under the business's control, right? But now the businesses are affected either positively or negatively, right? Because of this pandemic. So the business environment keeps on changing, right? And when entrepreneurs are not able to deal with this change, right, businesses fail, because it can change in any way. The government can come up with a new regulation, right? Maybe whatever you are doing, the product that maybe you are selling, now it is banned by the government, right? Something that was not under your control. So these are the reasons that businesses fail today. Okay? Now we move on to the impact that these businesses create on the economy of a country. Whenever a business sets up in a country, it is likely to create jobs. It might hire one person, right? But still it is creating job in the market, right? A small business might create 1 or 2 jobs. A big business might create 100 jobs, 150, 200 jobs, right? So why businesses are so beneficial to the government is because the businesses provide jobs to the people, and when people get jobs, their income increase, and they demand more product, the standard of living of the people increases, right? So this is why this is a very positive impact of a business. Another impact is of economic growth. Economic growth is the increase in the production of goods and services in a country, right? Every country around the world has this objective. Every government of the country has economic growth as its objective. They want to do it, right? They want to production to increase in the country from one year to another, right? So businesses, obviously, they are the main factor or the main reason how economic growth can take place, right? So when businesses set up, they either create a product or they provide a service, which leads to economic growth, right? The third impact, a positive impact that a business creates on the country is exports. These companies that are set up, it is possible that in future the products of these companies can be exported, right? Can be sold to other countries around the world. So, and when a country exports its product, it receives foreign exchange by selling the products internationally, right? And every country wants to have as much foreign exchange as possible, right? So exports is also a very positive impact that businesses create on a country. Another positive impact that a business creates is that it provides tax revenue to the government. When a business sets up, or when a business is established in a country, it pays taxes to the government, right? And if there are more businesses set up, that means there are more taxes for the government, right? And when governments receive more tax, they can spend it on the welfare of the people, okay? Right? So this is some of the positive impacts of a business. Now, what is it that there are any negative impacts created by a business? If you think about it, yes, there is, right? The businesses, they use up scarce resources of a country, especially if an oil refinery is set up in your country. Then what is this oil refinery going to do? It is going to use all of your oil reserves from your country, right? That's a negative impact. The second negative impact is it could work unethically. Maybe the business that is set up, it might be exploiting the workers, right? It might give them bad working conditions, less salary, right? And so these are the unethical things that a business can be involved in, and there are many examples that is happening around the world, right? Another negative impact that a business can create is it can damage the environment. Today everyone is talking about climate change and the negative effects that climate change has brought, right? And one of the main components, or the main reasons for this is your businesses. Because today you have so many businesses, so many factories set up that they are producing these carbon emissions and it is damaging your environment, right? So these are some of the negative impacts of a business, right? So if you brainstorm, there are some very common points that come to your mind, right? The impact that these businesses create. Now let's move on to social enterprises. Social enterprises or social businesses. Basically, these are businesses or organizations that work not for the purpose of making a profit, but for the betterment of the society, right? These are called social enterprises. We have ADI, we have Aman Foundation, right? And there are other organizations around the world, the social enterprises, right? The main aim is not to make a profit. The main aim is to provide service to the people, to make something good for the environment. The objectives of a social enterprise can be classified into these three: economic, social, environment. And these three objectives are called the triple bottom line objective, right? Economic objectives of social enterprise means basically to make some amount of profit, right? Because why do social enterprises want profit? Because they need to keep on running, right? One of the ways the social enterprises run is through charities or donations, right? But donations is not a sustainable way of running a social enterprise, because donations are voluntary, right? So tomorrow that person might not provide you with donation. Then what will happen to your business? It will stop, right? So then social enterprises needs to be self-sustainable, right? So that what they do is that whatever they do, they try to make some profit, so that that profit can be reinvested back into this business, and more better service can be provided to the people, right? So one of their objectives is economic, which is to make profit, but it is not the main objective. The second objective of social enterprise is social, right? Social means for the betterment of the people, right? Maybe let's say this social enterprise could be working for the disabled people of the country, right? They might be fighting for the rights of the disabled people, right? So these are the social objectives. And the environment objective, which means to protect the environment. There are many social enterprises today that are working to save the environment, right? So these are your social enterprises. Now we move on to the classification of business activity. A business activity in a country or in the world can be classified into three categories. The first is a primary sector. The primary sector of industry is deals with the extraction of the raw materials, right? Oil mining, coal mining, fishing, agriculture, all the businesses that are involved in this particular sector are called the primary business industry, right? So they deal with the raw materials, they extract the raw materials. The second category is a secondary sector. Secondary sector deals with the manufacturing of the raw materials that comes from the primary sector, right? So secondary sector, they produce finished or semi-finished goods, right? They are dealing with the manufacturing. Examples of secondary sector business could be car manufacturing, furniture manufacturing, right? All these businesses who are manufacturing are called the secondary sector businesses. The third sector is called your tertiary sector. It is your service sector or your retail sector, right? All those businesses that have manufactured their products are sold in the tertiary sector, like your groceries, supermarkets, Hyperstar, right? Apart from that, we also have service businesses. Businesses that are providing service are also comes under the tertiary sector, like education, lawyer, insurance, banking, hospitals. All these are your tertiary sector businesses, right? So for this video, we'll leave it till here, and then in the next video, we'll continue from over here. Thank you.